another emotional experience. And rather than do a lot of talking, I want to just bring Brie, Larson, and Keith Stanfield out on the stage, please.
Is this on? That was a video for the writer, director, Destin Cretton, who could not be here. So thank you for giving him something to miss out.
Yeah, and we have to give you presents.
What?
We have to give you golden thumbs. This one is for Keith. These are we actually give cast of Roger's thumbs to our filmmakers who come. So this is really special.
It's heavy as hell, too.
Like.
Yeah, made by the same people who make the Oscars. So we've been doing this for 16 years now.
Who cares about an Oscar, though? This is...
Thank you.
Man, barely made it.
Oh, great. And then they left. Well, thanks for coming. Keith, how was your flight?
We're going to get moderated by the thumb.
I didn't understand. They kept talking about the thumbs, and I thought, well, that sounds unpleasant. It was fine.
And I have to introduce your moderator, Nell, Minow. You know her because she's been coming for a while, but I want to read about her. She began reviewing movies for her high school and college newspapers and has been writing reviews online as the Movie Mom since 1995. Her website, Movie Mom, includes reviews of theatrical and DVD Blu-ray releases, as well as features, interviews, and contests. And she appears each week on radio stations across the country and in Canada to talk about new releases. Her writing about movies and popular culture has appeared in many outlets, including RogerEbert.com. USA Today, the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Sun-Times, the Kansas City Star, and the Motion Picture Association's thecredits.org. And, you know, in previous years, guys, I sometimes probably shortchanged you by not letting you know enough about the people on stage, because I would get kind of shy, believe it or not, and run off stage, and I just wanted to get off the stage. So Roger used to tell me, you have to do this, you have to read about the people who are there, because sometimes we give you these program booklets and you don't always read them. So, and we filmed this, so he said, you have to do that, and so Roger, I'm doing it, all right. Nell, Minow, come out, please.
Two mics, hey.
I think it's two turntables and a microphone, not two microphones and a turntable.
It's different.
All right. Wow, I'm still a little verklempt for that movie. I want to begin by saying that Brie Larson gave, not only that was my favorite performance of the year that you saw there, but also two of my other favorite performances last year, and just to get an idea of the breadth of what she's capable of, I really strongly encourage you to see The Spectacular Now and Don John, in which she has one line, but it's probably the most important line in the movie, and she's on screen more than that, but she totally nails it. And I had a lot of fun talking to Joseph Gordon-Levitt about you, and he just worships you. All right, so let's begin by, yes, that's right. So let's begin. I want you to, for those who were not at our panel this morning, I want you to talk a little bit about your experience in shadowing people that did the job that you did in that movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did that. I was given the opportunity to go shadow at a facility before we started shooting. Unfortunately, I only had, I think, like 3 weeks to prepare for this movie. So there wasn't a lot of time, but there was enough time that I was able to get a lot of information. And it's incredible what people that are line staff do. These men and women go above and beyond every day, and it's a strange job because it's kind of the person that's closest to these kids, but they also have a lot of authority and also very little authority at the same time. And a lot of them, just like Destin, who's the writer-director of this film, it's their first job out of college. They're young people. They're not much older than the people that they're kind of pointing fingers at, saying like, no, don't drink. Meanwhile, they're going home and having a beer. Like, so it becomes this very strange dichotomy. And that was something that we wanted to explore. And I don't know, I guess there's a lot more people here tonight than at the panel, so I can repeat some stuff that I talked about this morning. But there was a few things in particular that really informed the way that I looked at this work and at Grace and this movie. And the main one was just 2 words: let go. And there was a woman that I was shadowing who had been doing that job for about 27 years. And I just didn't understand how she could do it. It's so exhausting. And I asked her, how do you do it? She says, you let go. And that to me became the basis of what I felt like Grace was dealing with, was this inability to let go and watching her go through the process of learning to let go.
Keith, tell me a little bit about what you did, how you approached the character, particularly sort of the physicality. You had kind of a hunched over thing, and I noticed meeting you backstage, that's not really how you walk and how you start. So how did you create that character, the posture, the feel, the look of that character?
Interesting. I like that question. Well, you told me something about myself that I didn't know. I just thought I had a fucked up posture. I don't know. I guess it just kind of comes with being sort of like distant from people. I guess you just tend to like be inside and like into yourself. I don't know. But it wasn't something that I was conscious of. It's just something that happened.
And talk to me a little bit about one of the highlights of the film, the rap number, and how you prepared for that, and what it was like to film that.
Well, the good thing is I rap already, so that was great. Destin had wrote the original rap, and then he had sent it to me, and I was like, dude, I love you, but I cannot do this shit. Like, it's just like, it just doesn't feel right. So I rewrote the whole thing and sent it to him, and then he was like, this is just too fucking crazy. Like, I was just cussing and all types of shit. Like, Mom, you gave me crack, you bitch. And it was just out of gas. And so we met halfway. And basically it was sort of his groundwork, and I just did some extra stuff to it. You know, just had fun with it. It was an ADR session, and they were just like, go write some shit. And I was like, all right, cool. And I wrote that and After Party and that song that's playing when I cut myself.
You did that too?
Thank you.
Well, that relates to a point that you made also this morning, Brie, that I'd love to hear you expand on a little bit, which is the importance of art and creative expression for kids who are struggling.
Yeah, I think it's a really prominent part of this movie and something that we were trying to extend beyond the film by creating a website online that encouraged kids to post drawings and songs that they had worked on. I think that it's most definitely something that I personally used as a tool all through my adolescence and still now. And I think that it's recognized for me the clearest in Grace and in this movie, because I think that we all have the shadow side, we all have the dark side of ourselves, and a lot of it can come from our past, and it's very difficult to recognize it, and maybe some of it is because it's tough to recognize that someone else can hurt us, but it's coming to accepting that pain and accepting that, and then using it, that weakness, but what once was a weakness, and then using it as a strength, as a way to connect and express and share with others, then becomes love, and it becomes community, and it becomes safety. And you watch it with this film in many different forms, but I think that that's why the movie is powerful. And a huge part of what I want to share with others is I forget, and then I draw.
Well, I think that's another form of let go, isn't it? Really working through it. So, Keith, when did you first think about?
By the way, she has some cool art. Like, if you see, if you ever get a chance to get the DVD, there's like some special features, and it sort of shows what we do to release ourselves, and she's got some cool shit. I liked it a lot.
Excellent. Good to know.
Yeah.
So, when did you first think about becoming a performer? And was there a particular television show or movie or song or something where you said, this is something I want to do?
When I was 2 years old, I cussed my mom out because she took my, I stole one of her candies, and then I ran in the bathroom, and I was so fucking excited, bro, like this was the best time of my life. And then she busted in on me and was like, give me that, snatched it. And I've been watching Jason's Lyric and those Menace to Society, all those movies. I was like, fuck you. She was like, what did you say? I said, fuck you. So I was influenced at a young age by images and stuff.
Can I just say, I am the movie mom, okay? So, all right.
Yeah, there's not no kids in here, is there?
Yeah.
Although I love kids, man. They don't, like, that's one thing I was thinking about as Brie was talking, the importance of, like, not judging someone based on face value and not really knowing where they come from, and the importance of like being there for people and setting an example, and how much that actually means, and how much that could, you don't understand how much it does for a person just to be understanding and like, I don't know, just be there for them. And that was like a theme in this movie, is like we all need each other, and we're one big ass fucking family, man. So, we might as well regurgitate that and help each other rather than judge each other and sort of put each other in these little boxes so that we become comfortable with each other.
And absolutely, yay. And did you audition for this part? And what was that like? And what did Dustin say to you about what he was looking for?
Well, I was in the short in 2008.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. I'm so sorry. Why don't you explain about that? Because we didn't talk about that.
It was bad. It was my very first thing. I was 16. I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to put this on the ground. But it's fucking heavy.
So to explain that there was a short, he made a short first.
Yeah, it was short-term 12. The short was his thesis project. It was the very first thing that I did, and after that in 2008, I just went back home and just like, doing the mundane things that I do. Just, I went back to
stealing candy.
Yes, I was gonna say smoking weed, but then 5 years later, I never checked my email because I didn't really have a reason to. Like, what is an email for? And then I finally checked it, and I had these unread messages, and they were like, "We're auditioning for the feature. Come out and audition for it." So I was like, "What the fuck? Yes!" So I came down to LA, and I auditioned for it in his living room. And when I looked up, he was crying, and I was like, "Okay, I didn't think I would do that fucking bad." And he was like, "No, it was great." And so I was like, "Cool." And it was definitely a lot more of a lengthy process than that, but I just block out all the horse shit and get to the good parts. And had an opportunity to audition for the feature, and here we are.
This may be sort of in the long Roger Ebert Festival tradition. I'm going to ask you just sort of a crazy question. So, okay, so here we go. So we find out this great story about your character at the end, about his happy ending. Cappuccino. All right. So do you, as you are playing the part, even though we're not going to be seeing you doing that, do you factor that into who this guy is, that somewhere deep inside him he is somebody who has managed to attract the attention of this beautiful, smart, older woman? Is that something that you think about as you play the rest of what's going on with him?
Girls just like bad boys. No, I mean, when I was doing it, I was just sort of in the moment. I wasn't really thinking about anything outside of the moment and what was flowing, the energy that was flowing at that time. So I don't really look to the future or the past or whatever. I just kind of just live in that space for that time. But actually, I thought when I initially saw it that ending was unrealistic, and I didn't like it that much because I figured if someone came from that type of background, the chances of them, overcoming something like that are slim to none. So it, to me, seemed a little bit pompous or whatever.
Fairy tale.
Yeah, but in retrospect, I think that it doesn't matter if it's just one person that overcomes their situation. That lends credibility to the idea that you actually can. Sometimes when you're in an environment where it doesn't. Should I wait for clapping? I don't know this one. But sometimes when you're in a really bad environment, it doesn't seem like there's a way out. And but there is. And we actually went to this place and visited these kids who had been through things like this, and I'd seen the rehabilitation process, and I was just like, wow, I guess there's more hope out there than I thought. So I walked away from it with that, like there's hope to better yourself. But it definitely requires us as a community.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with audience questions in a minute, so start thinking about your questions, but first I have one more for Brie. One of the things that I really paid attention to, and this is my second time watching the film, was the parts where you were not talking, where we were just sort of looking at you and thinking about what was going on with you. And I thought that one thing that you captured very well is I've also observed people in this kind of facility, and was the listening phase, I guess, the one that's very, very accessible. And how do you sort of begin, was that something that you observed and you wanted to imitate, or was that something that came out of the thoughts that you were having as the character, or how do you create that part of the performance?
I was just actually listening.
Oh, well, there you
That's why I had that face. That was, and you kind of talked about it with John as well, that I'm in the movie, but I'm just listening for almost the whole movie until the very end. And I just have this attraction to that. It's not something that you always see in film. It's always about what's being said. But I'm much more interested in the things that aren't said. And she's someone that's processing. She's deeply processing something. It's like trying to watch someone trying to figure out an algebraic equation that they don't know the answer to, and they're just trying to figure it out. And in order to do that, I had to actually do that. You can't fake that. I think that's another really interesting aspect of just like eyes and the power of film, is that you can't, even in a photograph. I remember as a kid, I was an actress since I was a kid, but I remember a photographer telling me when I was like 8 years old, as he was taking my photograph, think about something that makes you happy. And that started triggering things for me of, it's not just, you can't just say the lines, I can't just smile. Smiles sometimes look very hollow. It doesn't always look like it's a smile. It has to actually feel it.
That's what I don't like when I meet people and they smile too much. It's just like, I don't know, it's weird. If there's something like to smile about, like of course I'm sitting up here with you, I'm gonna smile. But it's just like someone is like, hey, it's fine.
Well, I think you're right to be mistrustful. I also have to ask, how fun was it to hit the car with the baseball bat?
The best thing ever.
Yeah.
I think also if you understand the context of all of that, I think that as you're watching the movie, you've watched 60 minutes of it, and that in 60 minutes, watching that car getting smashed is the most satisfying thing. I was living that 60 minutes for 12 hours a day for 20 days. So by the time we hit that car, it was just like, and I was only supposed to hit it 3 times, but I hit it like 20 or something, because it was it became this incredible metaphor of, I was just supposed to crack it, but instead, the second I started doing it, it was like I had to break through. I had this thing in my head that I had to break through the windshield, and I couldn't stop until I did.
All right. Yay. All right. Have we got some questions out in the audience? Wranglers?
Ask them to raise their hand.
Yeah, raise your hand, and somebody will come to you with a microphone. Here we go.
We have a question here all the way back on the floor to your right.
Okay. Hi.
Hi again. I'm
Hi.
Shige Coleman from Sound on Sight. You heard me this morning, and I'm sorry for that earlier, I guess. My question is, what moves you most when you think about things in your own life? What empowers you as actors and as people? And I'm not just asking Brie, I'm asking everyone on the panel.
Lead off.
Okay, what empowers me? What moves me? Motion, change, experience, I don't know, like, just everything that I interface with, I think, is a part of my developmental process. So, the good and the bad changes me, moves me.
Me? I think it's so big for me. My inspiration is so vast. It comes from the smallest thing and the biggest thing. I think I was like put in this reality feeling very confused by it and curious about it. And that's why I make art. And I think that art is the most powerful thing. So that's what moves me.
All of that, plus I don't get out of bed in the morning unless I can think of one thing that I can do that's going to make something better. Then I get out of bed.
We're in the
Another
aisle
question?
to your left.
What?
To your left.
Oh,
In the aisle.
got it.
This is a question. Oh, thanks. This is a question for Brie. As an actress, how do you, in the movie, how did you pull, or what did you pull emotionally to get into character? And I don't know, because you talked about you observed people on the line, but how did you personally, when you were, I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say.
Are you an actor?
What?
Are you an actor?
Yes.
I knew it.
Well,
It's always an actor who asks that question.
Really? I was a long time ago, not really that long ago, but
Well, I mean, it's hard. That's such a hard question for me to answer. Other than the simplest thing is, I've experienced pain in my life. I've experienced extreme sorrow on my own scale in my life of pain and sorrow and disappointment. I don't feel like my life has been easy. I've felt anything on the negative scale. I feel like I've hit my spectrum of it. And it's been a really important aspect of my life to have that and to want to learn more about it and feel that it's, I feel that it's important to share because I became very vulnerable to make this movie, and I think it's something that's important for people to see. And that's why I make movies, is to try and expose these parts of ourselves that perhaps are hard to look at, but they're necessary to look at for growth. I haven't gone through the exact experiences that Grace has had, but I know what pain feels like, and I just showed that. I just showed that vulnerability. There's no, and then it's magic. And that's all I can say about it. For everyone, it's different what their process is, but it's just having the confidence and not being afraid to show vulnerability. Yeah.
Another question?
From the balcony.
Hi, this is actually the third time I've seen the movie and the film in the theater, so obviously I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to echo Nell's comment that I thought some of the most powerful scenes were the ones where Brie wasn't speaking, and I noticed in particular all the scenes in the bathtub and the shower, and usually movies sort of water is this cleansing, peaceful presence, but it seemed like for you it was this opportunity to feel your fear and to be upset and to sort of process your emotions. And I was just wondering how much of sort of the scene where you have the washcloth over your face, how much was that a collaboration with the director? How much sort of guidance did you get, and how much was that just your choice of how to play the scene?
The specifics, even the rag thing, was something that Destin had written. And the interesting thing about Destin is any of those scenes that are the more difficult ones to watch and may even seem like the more difficult ones to do, the emotional ones, Destin wanted to get us there and get us out as quickly as possible. So even scenes of like the bathtub scenes and stuff, they were so quick. They'd be like one take. I'd be like, what? Like I didn't do anything. Like I really was convinced that, especially when we started hitting a lot of these scenes with just Grace contemplating alone, I was like, this isn't gonna work. Like this isn't interesting to anybody else. And it's not until now that I'm able to watch it that I realize that those are some very personal moments that I think a lot of people can relate to. But he just kind of like sets the scene, and he said something very interesting to me. And like it was like the third day of shooting, where it was once again a scene where I was kind of just like processing and staring off. And we did one take, and he was like, "Let's move on." And I thought, in my mind, I thought that he thought that I could do more, that I could go deeper. And so I instantly was like, "No, I can do more. I can do more." And he was like, "I don't want to watch you torture yourself." And it really changed my life in ways that he doesn't even realize. Because I think actors feel this need to really perform to get the pain. And we're not there anymore. We don't need to do that. It's not healthy to watch. But it is nice to watch a woman reflecting in a pool of water, trying to understand what life is.
And another question?
This question comes to the floor, slightly to your right, all the way in the back.
Have two questions, and if we don't have time, just either one of you answer, or just one of them. For Keith, I was wondering about the haircut scene. I wanted to hear him talk a little bit more about that. Culturally, sometimes a haircut in the African American community is a very personal thing, and so I wanted to hear what you have to say about the haircut scene in the movie. And I know that it was related to your mother and a lot of things, but I want to hear you talk about what that was like. And for Brie, I'd like to hear a little more about where you're taking your directing next.
It's very interesting that you bring that up, because I think hair is important amongst black people. Obviously, I missed the train on the cut part, but I think that the need to sort of live up to a sort of projected perception of yourself is very rampant among a lot of black people, because of the low self-esteem that's been instilled from years and years of being told that you, just as you are fucking ugly. So everyone wants to, attempt to change themselves. And I think, within the rubric of this movie, the haircut scene really signified him sort of cutting off his fears and facing them head on. The only way in which you really can face them is just to look in the mirror and accept those things that you don't want to accept, and that's how you grow, and that's how you move forward. And that's what I felt like that was. It was a moment of growth. And to just be completely honest with yourself. And so, it's emotional even talking about it sometimes, because I was actually going through that at the time, just really just trying to be courageous and let stuff come to the forefront. So I think that's really what that represents, and a shedding away of all the insecurities,
Let's hear about your... Let's hear about where you're going as a director.
I mean, yeah, I can't follow it up with that. I mean, who cares when I'm directing? Unless it's you getting a haircut, I guess.
You're sort
it's like hard to explain what it's about because it's like really fractaled inward. But I'm working on it. And it's something that it's really important to me. But I'm in this very strange period of time in my life where the second I want to be a director, people want me to be an actor. So I'm trying to accommodate what's happening and enjoy moments and taking the inspiration of my day-to-day and putting that back into my work has been really wonderful. And for those of you who are at the panels, the 2 panels that I did this morning, I just want to say thank you. It really was so stimulating and interesting and inspiring, and I learned so much. And those are the things that then fuel me to go back and write and direct ultimately when I finish.
And you have another movie coming out, don't you?
That I'm in.
That you're in, yeah.
Yeah. I did a musical in India that should come out eventually, I guess. And then I did a movie called The Gambler with Mark Wahlberg that is not an independent, so it'll definitely come out. I think it's the end of the year.
We have time for some more questions.
From the balcony in the center.
Well, this is my 4th time seeing the movie. Love it each time. The movie groups that I helped lead all commented on the camera work and how the use of the constant close-up made you feel you were part of the movie as opposed to an observer. How much were you guys aware of the camera as you were making it, or was it using a long lens with a zoom?
It was both. The cool thing that Destin and Brett, our DP, discussed beforehand was they wanted the camera and the amount of crew that were on set to kind of mirror the scenes that we were doing. So certain, like the group therapy scenes where all of us are in a room together, it was more comfortable if the camera was just like in the room and as many people were in the room as possible. It made everyone feel comfortable. But then the scenes that were more intimate, just more one-on-one confessions, the camera was so far away. I didn't even notice that it was there. Did you feel that way?
Actually, like for the rap scene, I felt it was like right here. So like, it was definitely, I was aware that it was there, but I'm just trying to stay. You definitely have to focus because it's right the fuck there.
I guess we imagined at a certain point that Brett was, because he did everything with the camera on his body, that he was just like another character, the silent narrator of the movie, and you just become very accustomed to that guy in those too tight skinny jeans, just kind of like getting in your face.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the fact that they actually wanted it to seem seamless, because it kind of did. It just kind of worked wherever it was at.
That's exactly what I liked about the camera work. It had a very intimate documentary feel that matched the you don't know what's happening next quality of the script. Got another question here.
Hi, Brie and Keith. Thanks for being here, first of all, today, spending your time with us. I just wanted to add, I have a plethora of questions, but at least I'm not limited to one. But you said in the beginning, before the film, Brie, about film for you being like church, basically. Kind of shortly, film for me in a sense is like the time capsule. It's the closest thing that will happen to time travel. Like, 50 years from now, somebody will watch this film in the same venue that we have here, and they're experiencing it in the same way. When you choose a project, both of you, when you're reading a script, do you consider the audience? Do you consider yourself? What do you consider in a project?
Thank you. That's a cool question. I had this weird desire. I felt like it was a calling. When I was 6 years old, I told my mom I knew what my dharma was. It was to be an actor. My parents were chiropractors. I don't know why this happened to me. But it created this really strange struggle for me because most actresses I know are incredibly vain, don't know anything about the arts, and just want people to think they're pretty. And I'm really cool with just like being a mind, and like sometimes I've got acne, and like that's cool too, and like whatever. So it's taken me this long time to understand my place in this industry or in this medium. And when I came to the realization that I don't make movies for myself, it alleviated so much. Because the reason why I brought that up before we watched the movie is it's your time. It's your time to empathize. It's your time to meditate. It's your time to let these images wash over you and to just feel. And you feel the room with you, and you can maybe feel the person crying or laughing next to you. And when the movie's done, you share this experience with these people. I think the movies have a great way of historically documenting certain periods of time, which is one of the reasons why the last movie I did, The Gambler, I was so interested in, because it filmed in Los Angeles, and I feel very strongly that we don't have a good depiction of Los Angeles in this day and age because of weird tax breaks. But that's the only thing that matters to me, because Short Term 12 has played in Spectacular Now, because I heard people here saying that they watched it here. I didn't know. You know, these movies are going on way beyond where my physical body can be. I love being able to talk about the movies, but it's not always the case. So what is that? What are these images that we are sharing? What is the vibration that's going on beyond us? And how are we sharing and spreading information? Because if I'm gonna get a bunch of people to sit in a room together, I really hope that it's to give hope and love and understanding, and perhaps we all can walk away learning something from ourselves. I don't want it. I don't want people to walk away, you know, feeling angry or feeling like they're scratching their head or feeling hopeless. There's a way that the arts have always been able to like kind of support us getting to this next level, and that's what I want to do. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I like what you said about vibration. I'd like to think that, you know, sitting in this room where all the essence itself looking back at itself. So this is why things like this work the way they do, because we all can empathize and we all know, you know, these different feelings. And I think art serves the purpose of evoking that, you know, and bringing out those things. It's cool. It's a form of communion, and it's a way to reflect and look back at yourself, and it's great. And I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to, you know, evoke some tears, or maybe make you look in awe, you know, or scare you, you know. Hopefully I can scare you if you go see The Purge Anarchy, boom. No. Yeah, it's great. It's just, you know, I actually think music is more effective at like, sort of, for me at least, like actually bringing out emotions. But images are cool as well too. I mean, I guess it's contingent upon who's actually ingesting it. But
But that's what I love about that wonderful quote from Roger that we're seeing before each film today, which is that that's exactly the purpose of really all kinds of art, is to make you understand what it's like to be somebody else, to see through their eyes. The movie we saw just before this was, I thought, also very good at that. Museum House. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Yes, from the balcony to your left.
Actually, it's great that you mentioned that quote, because it ties into the question I had for both of you. I noticed the brilliant thing it seemed like about this film was a lot of films that tell stories like these, unfortunately, kind of belabor the point about the backstory. You know, how did the character get to this point? And what it seemed like this did so beautifully was we don't get all that. Instead, we just get the character. We just get the person and what they're feeling, what they're going through. But in that process of performing that, did either of you, were you given a backstory in any way, or did you instead were given this direction to go, here's what the character's feeling, and just go with it? Or did you create that all in your mind, or was it in some way kind of given to you that you didn't have to see textually?
I wasn't given a backstory from Marcus. It was just basically read the script, and I was like, wow, this guy's fucked up. And I got to go into another zone, and just started building from there, just on the experiences that I've had, and just sort of using that as sort of the foundation for it. it's cool because it's not one of those things where it's like a person that you have to study or something. It's actually just that part of you that you want to bring to the forefront. Although now I'm doing research for this other role, and it's definitely a different task. I've never approached anything like that, but for this now, it's just sort of creating something new, which is very, very fun.
Can you tell us something about the other role?
Well, there were these marches quite a while ago that happened when people discriminated against other people. Imagine that. Based on their skin. And it takes place in Selma. It's a Martin Luther King film. I play a guy named Jimmy Lee Jackson. And he stood up for his family during one of the protests in Selma, and he got shot down by the police officers for standing up for what he believed in. And so I'm really excited about it, and I hope I can lend credence to the real guy.
Congratulations. That sounds wonderful. So I have to ask you though, since I live south of the Mason-Dixon line, are you getting accent lessons?
See, that's confidential. You'll just have to see.
Have to wait.
Yeah.
We listen for. All right. Did you want to talk about that? The backstory?
I enjoy the process of creating this whole thing for myself, and it makes me feel like I did my job, and I just think it's fun. But the important part of the movie for me was that a lot of the backstories of the kids, that all of them were removed, and like you're saying, just getting the person, and it's just raw emotion. And so there's very little between yourself and this person that you're watching. You're not watching someone, you're watching them cry, and you're like, oh, I can't relate to that because they're crying about blah, blah, blah. It eliminates that, and it just becomes reflections of yourself. And so I had specifics, but it wasn't about the specifics. That was just for me.
Well, thank you both very much. It was a wonderful
Thank
film,
you.
and thank you
Thank
for
you
some
for
great
coming.
questions.